The city of Chicago set to spend $51 million for migrant housing. The state of Illinois set to spend about $43 million on the issue in the state budget that begins July 1st. And we've got more than 10,000 migrants that have come to Chicago from the southern border here either as asylum seekers or as undocumented residents. And it's an issue that seems to show quite a divide in how this should be handled. And passions spilled out on the Chicago City Council yesterday when they opened it up for public comment. And we'll hear some of those public comments now, but also we'll hear from Mayor Brandon Johnson as to what he had to say, his administration's doing, who his administration's talking to when it comes to dealing with those in this country, in Illinois, in Chicago, as undocumented migrants. So to the city council, where passions were definitely pretty high from some citizens addressing alder people and the mayor.
Our next speaker today is George Blakemore.
99% of these people sitting here are Democrats. 99% of you black over here are Democrats. Seems like the Democrats are playing a game on you. A game on you. That's right. A damn game on you. When they bring these illegals in, are they nappy and black like me? Something is wrong here. It's time for you all to get off this ship. This Democratic ship. Well, Trump is a racist. Biden is too. The system is racist. It's in the fabric of this city. It's time for you to make a change. Get off of this damn ship. It's not carrying you to Zion. It's carrying you to hell. Can't you see what's going on here with these illegal immigrants and our so-called black officials vote against our interests? Something is evil here. Something is corrupt here. Something is sinful here. Get off of this machine. Create your own. You're doing the same thing over and over again, and you get nothing. These people get more than you. They get food stamp, housing, and every education and everything. And everything. Everything. Man, everything. That's right. Tell them. Thank you, man. Thank you. Thank you.
So the resident ends his time with some applause from others in attendance, but he wasn't the only one that addressed the Chicago City Council and pointing out, as he said, Democrats are taking people the wrong direction, asking for people to reflect and so on, but very upset about the care going towards migrants while he feels that others in the city are being neglected. Another Chicago resident addressing the city council yesterday said that she was an active player in getting Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson elected, and here is how that citizen comment went.
My name is Dr. Denise Goring, born and raised here in Chicago, grew up in Robert Taylor homes. I now live in downtown Chicago, but my main concern is Chicagoans. Let's take care of Chicago people first, then throw out the lifeline to help others. So we have $50 million going to migrant immigrants. What do we have for the Chicagoans here in Chicago that are homeless, that are veterans, that have mental health? And I know our mayor is driving to take care of some of these issues. We all need to help and think about what we're doing, what we're bringing in, what we're imposing on the police department. Thank you.
So again, more concern about how the city's resources are being used when it comes to dealing with the migrants being transported from the southern U.S. border to Chicago. Again, it's more than 10,000 have been transported to Chicago just in the past 6 months or so. But the comments didn't stop there. You had another commenter, resident of the city, taking to the microphone, Jessica Jackson. She told the council that she and others feel tricked as to what happened.
In the words of Malcolm X, we've been hoodwinked, run amok, bamboozled by sitting here thinking that these black politicians are helping us.
So Johnson, he held a news event after the 4-hour Chicago City Council meeting, where top of mind was indeed the issue of migrant care. Here he is reacting to some of those questions.
My administration is committed, under the leadership of our first deputy, chief of staff, Christina Pasion-Zayas, who has done an incredible job of bringing people together, multiple stakeholders, the state level, the county level, the federal government, many of our community-based organizations, to begin to establish more support for case management, as well as finding facilities that can adequately support our newly arrivals. And then finally, what I will say is that this is also an important note, that it is top of mind for me to make sure that the families who have been working hard to find safe spaces and affordable housing in the city of Chicago, that we're working with a level of expediency to continue to provide support for those families who are without homes. As you know, today, City Council voted to provide more opportunities for affordable housing, and we're going to continue to do that throughout my administration.
So Johnson talking about just focusing more on getting appropriate housing for these individuals, but when it comes to the amount of resources being expended, they've already spent tens of millions. They're set to spend $51 million more. That's just out of Chicago's city coffers and taxpayers. When it comes to the state's going to be spending about $43 million in the upcoming budgets. And while the $50 million from Chicago is only expected to last a couple of months, how long is the $43 million going to last from the state of Illinois? So still a lot of unanswered questions as to how much this is going to cost and what the ultimate toll is going to be. But Johnson was asked what kind of conversations he's had with, say, Texas or federal officials or whoever else on how to deal with the migrant issue in the city of Chicago. Here's Johnson.
So our team over the last, what is it now, Ronnie, 37 days? I don't even know how long I've been mayor. It's been 37 days. We've had multiple conversations with individuals at the border to get a better understanding of what's going down there. If you're asking me if I've had a direct conversation with a governor, I've only spoken to one so far, and that's Governor Pritzker. If you're recommending that I speak to other governors, I'm happy to talk about that offline. But we have a pretty clear picture of what's happening right now. And what's happening right now is that cities like Chicago, who have established sanctuary, we are working diligently to meet the demands of this moment. But it's going to require the federal government, the state government, county government, local government, the faith community, again, the business community, the philanthropic community. It's really going to take all of us to come up with wholehearted solutions that meet the demands of families who have been starved out of opportunities for decades now, while also making sure that we are responding to the newly arrivals. And so my administration is dedicated to collaborating and bringing people together. And though we do know that there are individuals that are working tirelessly to create political division, we're committed to uniting the city as well as uniting this country by being an example here in Chicago. Thank you.
But as you heard from residents of the city addressing the council yesterday, there is a clear division there with some in the community saying that they feel like they're being left behind or feel like they've been tricked or hoodwinked. So obviously there's a lot of fences to mend there. But all the cost for housing, that's just one cost. Again, we're looking at $95 million in city and state funds going to that, and that could just last for a few months for housing for migrants here undocumented. But you've also got the $550 million cost for subsidizing migrant health care. And that's because the governor has announced he's suspending the program for undocumented migrant health care to be subsidized by taxpayers. He's suspending that program for those between the age of 42 and 65 beginning July 1st. Well, some migrants in the city didn't take kindly to that, and Chicago Tribune having this story. Criticism continues against Governor Pritzker's move of closing healthcare enrollment for immigrants. And you can see what appears to be a, quote, die-in protest with supporters of the migrants laying down in protest. So that was also yesterday in Chicago, where you had State Senator Omar Aquino addressing a crowd of about 100 people or so. So obviously there's a lot of debate still to be had on this, and we'll be watching and seeing where those dollars go ultimately. And I think that's going to be important to follow that money. It is Springfield's Morning News. I'd love to get your thoughts. You can call in at 217-629-7970. Again, 217-629-7970. That's the phone number. Let's get your calls, or you can email me, bishoponair@gmail.com. Message me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, wherever. Hopefully I get to it, but the best way to do it is to call in live at 217-629-7970.
Take Springfield's Morning News with Greg Bishop everywhere with the free WMAY mobile app. 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and Talk.
And though we do know that there are individuals that are working tirelessly to create political division, we're committed to uniting the city as well as uniting this country by being an example here in Chicago. Thank you.
In the words of Malcolm X, we've been hoodwinked, run amok, bamboozled by sitting here thinking that these black politicians are helping us.
Let's get your reaction to the migrant issue in Chicago and what seems to be citizens announcing their frustrations to the city council yesterday. Good morning. Thanks for hanging by and being patient. You're on WMAY.
Good morning. I just want to add a couple of numbers to what you've already mentioned, that they're going to give illegals now. Illinois taxpayers already have been for dozens of years paying $3.4 billion a year for free social services for illegal aliens that come to Illinois. Number two, do your listeners know that Springfield has a welcoming center for illegal aliens and refugees?
Yeah, they're welcoming. There are welcoming centers all across the state, and that's always a point of contention as to the funding for it.
Yeah, it's good to know that one is in our own backyard, because I don't think a lot of people know that. Number three, State Senator Marco Rubio said that he talked to his cohorts in Venezuela and Ecuador and below our southern border, and said 500,000 more are on their way as we speak.
Yeah, and that's Florida Senator Marco Rubio. Appreciate the call. We'll take another one here. Good morning. You're on WMAY.
I see was divisive was going against the federal government by creating these sanctuary cities and states. That was mighty divisive at the time, and here we are.
Yeah, and you see that happening across the country, where states made themselves sanctuary or welcoming cities and states, and then when the border is just seemingly not really kept by the Biden administration, and it seems to be very porous, then you've got those border communities that can't handle it. So, hey, put up a sign, say welcoming or sanctuary city. What do you think's going to happen? Do you think that people are going to be repelled from there? No, they're going to be attracted to that location. Appreciate the calls. It is Springfield's Morning News on WMAY, 92.7 WMAY Springfield's Morning News. You can also comment on Facebook, YouTube, and elsewhere. You can email me, bishoponair@gmail.com.